Hello and welcome to The Punter, the home of the best betting advice on TV. This is the show that's on your side. Whatever we do, we will find the value for you. A fantastic weekend of sport coming up, headlined by the Classico, but a lot of great sporting action for us to pick our way through. Got a great team in the studio to help me do that. Nigel Seeley, the betting butler, is here. Nigel, great to see you.
Good afternoon, Nick. How are you?
Yeah, very good. How are you keeping?
Very well, mate. Very well.
Nice to see you in the room.
In the house.
In the house, that's
in the
it.
house.
Exactly. Chris Graham from Sporting Bet is here.
How you doing, Nick?
I'm very good. How are you, Chris?
Soaked, actually.
Right.
Got absolutely drenched on the way here, so I'm wearing the sort of substitute clothing provided by the guys in the wardrobe department.
Are you disclaiming your clothes?
Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
I'll be honest, it's an improvement. I saw we came in. And Flash, Gordon Watson here. Flash, great to see you.
You right, Nick?
Yeah, good. You've had a good week.
Yeah, good week, yeah. Plenty sport on the TV, plenty markets to have a go at, and we've done all right. We've enjoyed it.
Yeah, excellent. And let's start off by recapping the week that's just gone. We'll get into that in detail in a second. But just quickly on last weekend, the National as good for bookies as ever, or not so much?
I would say so, definitely. Neptune Cologne, we didn't see much money for it at all. If Seabass would have won, he just won what would have happened
What
to the
happened with
industry.
Seabass? It was a huge move. It was 25 to 1.
Yeah, there was a bit of rain, wasn't there, on Friday morning and Friday evening, and that's exactly what it wanted. And obviously with Katie Walsh
as well.
I mean, they'd plotted it up. I mean, we touted it 2 or 3 weeks prior to the National at 25s with Sporting Bet, who were a standout. Ladbrokes were actually 14s at the time, and I spoke to Russ, and they were more than happy to take it on.
We've
They were right.
got to apologise though for Saturday's commentary because we said Neptune. I have to apologise because I said Neptune Cologne fell at the 5th. So any running punters out there might have got their fingers burnt. I'm sorry about that.
It's a hell of a recovery.
It was amazing. I think you've been on them Weetabix in the advert.
But to be fair, I have got to take a bit of the blame because I was trying to give him a little bit of info in his ear, and I did say that the grey that fell was Neptune Cologne.
It's not exactly the easiest race to call, to be fair.
With
Oh,
no
no, it was
sound,
tough.
with no
Well,
sound, with no-
We didn't even pick the winner once they went past the line.
Oh, that was
Because I brought us home
Well,
and
it's
I thought
incredible,
Sunny Hill
isn't it?
Boy had won it.
Absolutely
I mean,
incredible.
to be fair, I think if we were still looking at it now, none of us would have picked the winner of the National.
No.
I mean, there was only one. I think the Sun picked it up in their Templegate there. So basically, that was great for the bookmakers as well because all it is was all the guys who have £2, 50p, £1 each way, who are new to betting. They've obviously backed the winner of the National, so they're delighted.
What I would say, one final point, it's probably the classiest horse that's ever won the Grand National for me. It just shows you how good the race has become.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's obviously been placed in Gold
Gold
Cups.
Cups,
yeah.
Yeah, definitely gone up in quality over the years. The National. Now, big week of European football. I'm sure you enjoyed the Champions League semi-finals as much as I did. And the Chelsea-Barcelona game, I guess, was the focus of all the attention. Kind of a one-sided victory for... No, Chelsea won, apparently. That's weird. Got absolutely battered. But where does this leave the semi-final?
I believe it's pretty much exactly how we were, wasn't it? I mean, the thing for me, when they had the chance to go 2-0 up right at the end, I think it was Kalou, or was it Flash who got the chance, and he hit it over the bar, but I think it was Kalou who had the chance. But that was the big turning point. If they'd gone 2-0, they had a big game on it. But I just think 1-0. I mean, the price there, Sporting Bet and Blue Square have gone 4-11 and 2-1. That sums up the chance they've got. I mean, going to the new camp where they've unbeaten in 18 games or something like that, scoring 60-odd goals, I think it's one goal is just a little bit too much. But it was a good defensive display. But everyone's criticising Barcelona. But they hit the bar, hit the post, at 85% in possession, and the world's best player didn't score. So I think we'll see it in 2 legs.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, I thought it was a mugging of like gargantuan proportions. However, right now, it's 1-0 to Chelsea. Barcelona don't have the away goal. And I know that they're phenomenal at the Nou Camp, but not against Chelsea. Not in recent years.
But how
So
are
I
Chelsea
think
going to set up? I mean, Chelsea can't go with the same mindset. They've got to come out and try and get that away goal because, I fancy Barcelona will definitely score at least 2 goals. Now, that means that if Chelsea are going to come out, then they're going to leave holes. And the last thing you want to leave holes against is Barcelona. So I can see Barcelona getting at least 2 or 3 goals.
It's a big thing as well, though. I mean, we'll come on to the El Clasico after, but just see how much of a physical game that is. To be, I mean, I have a view on the Chelsea-Arsenal game, which I don't think it is going to be a very physical game, but there is nothing about El Clasico which are committed, wholehearted affairs. And you've got to see how this Barcelona side come out of that. If there's any knocks or any injuries or any guys in physical battles there, to have them kind of games within 72 hours could make a huge pressure. And that will only favour for Chelsea at the prices.
If Chelsea score, it's really got to put the cat amongst the pigeons, won't it?
But you still fancy Barcelona to score 3?
Yeah.
Really, against Chelsea?
Yeah, easy.
It's not often that Chelsea get turned over like that, though. Fred. I mean, I appreciate.
Their away
the
form in
Barcelona.
Europe has been appalling, though. Chelsea. I mean, they got absolutely hammered by Napoli. They got hammered at the group stages, and they're going to the best club side in the world. Probably the best club side for 10 years. So their away form in Europe is not to be trusted. You know, and they haven't won a game, so to go to there maybe at all. I think at 2-0, then I think you pick them. At 1-0, you've got to still.
All right, let's move on to the other semi-final, which is I think fantastically poised. You couldn't ask for much more, could you? 2-1 going into the second leg, and to qualify for the final, Real Madrid odds on. I feel weird quoting these odds because they're odds on they're losing, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, but obviously they've got the away goal, haven't
Yeah.
they? That's the key thing there. And obviously Real Madrid are so strong at home. But again, going back to that El Clasico, on the prices, I think if any team can go there and get a draw, is Bayern Munich. And again, but Bayern Munich's home form is so good, their away form hasn't been indifferent. But if you could ask anyone to, I think Bayern Munich for me, I'd make it pick them. Just a smidgen of the value go for Munich there.
And also, you know that Real Madrid have got to come out and take the game to Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich are probably one of the best counter-attacking sides. I mean, Ribéry on one side, Robben on the other. You got Gomez, who basically wants to hold the ball up, gets across defenders. And obviously I've been Bayern Munich all the way from the start of the whole competition, but I was really impressed with the way Real Madrid played it in the Allianz. So it will be very tough, but I don't see any reason to go against Bayern Munich.
Chris, where are you on this?
I'd just be interested to see if Mourinho would rather win this one or Saturday night. I mean, it seems a bit of a silly question, but I think he's just desperate to beat Barcelona in the El Clasico. Would he forfeit the Champions League? I don't know.
Well, let's see the Champions League odds. If you just want to bet on the competition right now, Barcelona is still favourites, which I think is extraordinary. I mean, I can understand why. It's testament to how good they are, but for them to be losing and not having a away goal and still be favourites to win the whole competition is fascinating, I think.
I think they're very short. I think I've always thought they're very short. I think it's purely on liabilities, the front two. I mean, the English clubs in the Champions League, I mean, I don't see the field books of the bookmakers, but from experience and what I've seen this season, there's always been a trend to go with against whoever the English clubs have played, which is unusual in Champions League. People just don't fancy the English sides. And Chelsea at 13-2, if they were in the semi-finals 2 years ago, they'd be a 4-1 shot, 7-2 shot. But obviously the age has got with them. For me, the team I've just got to be with is Munich, because I just think 11-10, they're in the final at home. If they get to the final, I think that's the value for me in here.
Yeah, definitely. Flash, you already said you were with Munich.
Oh, all the way, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't.
7-2's appealing, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is, but I mean, obviously the 10-1 at the start of the whole competition was more appealing. And there's no reason to jump in now at the 7-2 again, because it could go either way in the Bernabeu.
Okay.
But I just see that Bayern Munich have everything to play against both Barcelona and Madrid.
Yeah. Talking of Barcelona and Madrid, I don't know where you'll be on Saturday night, but I'll be out at some kind of cool party. I won't. I'll be watching the Clasico. Why wouldn't I be watching the Clasico? The best sporting event on the calendar for me. You've got to love it. Huge game, huge betting game as well. Chris, give us a sense of how much money
it's
your
the
book will see on
the
this.
biggest club game in Europe, because here it's Sport and Bet, it's big European business, so it's by far our biggest fixture for the whole season. So it's boom time on Saturday night.
That's incredible, isn't it? You think,
It's
Liverpool, Everton, Man United, Man City, Arsenal, the biggest game now is it's just amazing.
I mean, that's only the last few years, really.
Yeah, but even in the UK, we're seeing now that it's become a big cultural thing in the UK now.
What time does this game kick off? Is it like a 9 o'clock?
7 p.m.
So it's perfect.
Yeah,
it's perfect time.
Yeah.
Perfect time.
Right, I mean, you'll miss the voice, obviously. Let's get the match odds, shall we, which is 6-4 on Barcelona. And you can get 4-1 about Real Madrid winning this game.
I'd want more. I'd want more than that, yeah, of course.
You've got a lot of faith in Barca.
Well, Barcelona got the Indian sign over Madrid. I mean, Madrid even went, I think, 1-0 up after 30 seconds earlier on in the year, got beat 3-1 and could have, or 3-2, I think it was in the end, because they got a late consolation. But they could have been beaten 10. And Barcelona just teach Real Madrid a lesson nearly every time. The only time they've beaten them.
You're absolutely right. I guess the only case that you can make for Real Madrid is just the stresses on this Barcelona side at the moment, especially at the back, where to me they do look thin. Do you know what I mean? With Piqué out, I think they're a slightly different proposition. I'm not sure Chelsea would have scored that goal if Piqué had been in the team. So I think he would have been on the cover, but not big enough for you, Chris?
Yeah, the price doesn't really appeal, obviously.
Real Madrid friendless.
Been humiliated by Barcelona in recent years, absolutely humiliated. Mourinho will be absolutely desperate to win this game, but I think he'll come up short again.
Yeah. I think it's a great one for any running, because I think at some stage in this game there'll be an angle, and I think it'll be if the teams are bringing players off with the Champions League in mind. I think some teams with half hour go, 40 minutes to go. I don't think the intensity in this game will be as it has been in previous games, because they've got such massive fixtures. And I think for me, the game, I would not have a bet until I actually watched the lineups, watched what was happening, and saw any substitutions were being rested. I mean, I could see Barcelona being 1 or 2 up maybe, and bringing off Messi. And in that 20 minutes, I might be looking to lay them, because he's being protected, because he didn't look fit to me in that game. He didn't look interested. He didn't look fit. against Chelsea. And I want to see the team sheet to see how they.
This is the problem with Messi. He can't do it on a rainy night in England.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
it.
a limited play.
Yeah.
Let's check the over and unders because there'll be a decent amount of action on this, I think. And there you go. Over 2.5 goals is slightly odds on.
I don't like the look of anything on that. I always play the unders. I want
Especially
to
in a game like this where both teams are going to be. It's going to be a tight
over
game.
three
isn't
and
it?
a half goals is very, very short to me at 11 to 8. I mean, I'd definitely be taking the opposite side, 8 to 11 or 8 to 15 or 4 to 6, whichever percentages the bookmakers lay there. I'll be looking under 3.5 goals because I think, unlike other games, this is a very, very tight game. You know, Real Madrid know they can get a point, and they're probably going to be
Basically
crowned
win the
champions.
title,
Yeah,
right?
and Barcelona. So Mourinho is the master tactician in these kind of matches. He will go very defensive, and if anybody can ruffle Barcelona up, I think he'll be happy for a 0-0. So under 3.5 for me. Those kind of prices, I can only be a backer of that market for me.
With the Champions League games as well coming up, it probably will lend itself to being a much more cagey affair. So I agree with Nigel under. So.
Okay.
I'm over 2.5. I mean, I've got
Totally the different opinion,
Barcelona, Barcelona 3-0, Barcelona 3-1, and again I go against the boys and think that this is probably one of the most important games for both. I mean, they know that Barcelona win, they go down.
What would they
down to
take
1
though, Flash?
point.
Would they take a win here, or would they take a Champions League?
Well, I
final?
think they'll win both. I think that they are Barcelona. They go to win every single game, and they've got plenty strength in depth. They say that PK will be back.
But if
They say that he was okay for the other night, but they left him out.
But if they had to choose one, as a Barcelona coach, would you take the La Liga, or would you say you get to the Champions League?
Well, I think you have
history?
you have to take La Liga because it's the next game, and then you've still got sort of 48, 72 hours to recover, which is plenty.
Let's check out the La Liga odds. Real Madrid obviously heavily odds on. If you're not too familiar with the situation, it's on screen for you there. Barcelona 4 points behind. Obviously they have the tiebreaker if they were to win, which they'd have to do to win the title anyway. So that gap could be 1 point after the weekend. But Real Madrid more than capable of running out the rest of their fixtures, even if they lose, right?
Well, that's the key thing. I mean, it all depends on Mourinho's style of play. I mean, I haven't seen the remaining fixtures, but you could probably bet whoever they play on, the shortest price there would be 2-1, 2-5 against anyone. They're going to be at home. They'll be 10 on against someone. Away from home, they might be 1-2. So they could probably lose this and still win every game. So,
Chris, if Barcelona win on Saturday, how much will those title odds change?
I'd imagine 11-8 Barcelona, 4-7 Real.
Right.
Because I think Real, the 4 remaining fixtures are quite.
So if you think Barcelona are going to
winnable.
win this game, you want to actually bet on the Barcelona for the title now. I mean, you don't want to wait, right? Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone Barcelona anyway to win it because I think Barcelona will win Saturday night. It will be 1 point, and then Madrid won't be able to. Only winning every game will get the title for them.
Okay.
So I see Barcelona. I see Barcelona winning the league and El Clasico.
Wow, fantastic stuff. The Clasico is on Saturday night. I'm sure you'll be glued to it and betting in running, as well as those odds we've just given you. Now, after the break, we'll get to all of the Premier League action. A fantastic weekend in the Premiership. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the punter. We've done El Clasico, so time to get into the Premier League and the title race, which it's not really a title race, is it? But we've got to give it the big licks. We won't spend too long on it because I don't think it really exists. But it does have 2 games affecting it this weekend. Nigel, can you make the case for there being a title race?
No. I just think Man United's fixtures are so easy for them. I can't see any way.
Perfect for them, isn't it?
I can't see any way they're going to slip up. I think that City are a team that are always better when they're chasing. You know, they'll look back on this title and think, how haven't we won it by 10 points? You know, any other season they won it by 10 points. And you know, I would love to sit here and say, yeah, I could make a case because I've actually backed Man City, but I throw my ticket away. I can't see any way they can make it.
See, I hate this bit of the show because this is the bit that I have to turn to Flash and say, Flash, you've been on Man United all season. Well done.
Thank you very
I've
much.
had to say about 6 weeks now.
Yeah, the thing is, I just hope that they go to the Etihad and win, and
Right.
and then obviously that means they'll be sort of around the 8 points clear with only 2 games to go. And I say it every week, I just wish that Premier League had some kahunas and they gave them the Premier League at the Etihad.
Can you imagine?
It'd be great viewing.
outrageous.
It'd be great viewing.
Well, let's look at the weekend's games. Man United have got a home game against Everton, and Everton not the greatest record against Man United. Chris, this one, Sportingbet have got a 10-3 on,
Which
17-2 for Everton.
I think that's the right price. I I fear for Everton, I really do. I wouldn't be surprised at all if David Moyes resigned in the summer. I think Saturday's defeat in the FA Cup really hurt them hard. I think they really felt they could get to the FA Cup final, and it fell apart.
I was there. It was a terrible, terrible shame.
Oh, yeah. You must
harsh.
have been gutted.
Yeah, I was sad for them.
But the big thing is, Chris, with Everton, they all believed that they could get to the final. They were 1-0 up, and they had no problems. And then they self-destruct. And it wasn't just about Distan. They dropped deep. They isolated Jelavic. They handed the initiative to Liverpool.
That's the point. That's a great point.
Exactly. And mentally, they didn't show any fight. They didn't show any belief in that they were going to go through.
You're absolutely right. And going into this game, it's going to be very hard for him to get them up for this, isn't it? I would have thought that they're actually potentially quite a short price here.
Well, virtually impossible. I mean, I on my tissue, I put them in at 1 to 4. The prices that I did, I thought they were shorter than 130 on. I just can't see any way they're going to be. But I would make a small case for Everton on the Asian handicap +1.5, because I just don't think that Man United go out and do numbers on.
It's not like Everton concede a lot.
No, I think 1-0, maybe 2-0. You know, if you get a push, and 1.5, I could make a slight case for the interesting team news here is Leighton Baines is out for Everton, and I could see him resting a few players. Rodwell's out, and obviously there's quite a nice Mr. Ferguson and Mr. Moyes get on quite well. He's looking at his job. Maybe potentially one day want to be a Manchester United manager. So I think it could be a nice cosy 1-2-0 for Manchester United. And
Not
I think
going
that
to lie, I hope he stays at Everton for another 10 years for Liverpool-centric reasons. Let's move on to the Man City fixture, and of course Man City are going to be heavily favourites for this at Wolves. But the big question that I like to ask on this show is, what price would Wolves need to be for you to back them? You can get 12 to 1 on them at home, and Man City have slipped up away from home a little bit this season. 12 to 1 big enough? Anyone?
Double that, I still wouldn't take it.
You
There was
wouldn't
no
take
price,
it?
is there?
I would take
There's
22s.
You would
I wouldn't.
take 22?
No, I wouldn't. I
wouldn't take a
There
price.
must be a price.
There's no price.
I'd get involved.
Yeah, 20. I would.
I'd get it.
There's a price for you?
33. I mean, you got to look at the team.
But
that
Flash, you can't say they have no chance of winning the game.
don't.
Can't have
Well, they
zero
have no
Well,
chance.
but
You're
the
joking
team-
me. They're
the
sitting
team-
bottom of the league against a team that are chasing for the
Yeah.
biggest prize in English football.
I'm agreeing that they're underdogs, but you can't say they have
Underdogs?
zero
They're
chance.
underground. They can't, honest. There's no way you can put up a fight or a case for Wolves.
So you'll give me 100 to 1.
Well, I mean, I'm sure someone would.
No, they wouldn't. The thing is, you make the case here, but I mean, the biggest priced home team in the Premier League this season won. They got beat. I mean, Blackburn were 50 to 1 on the betting exchanges to beat Manchester United.
Yeah.
When everyone said they couldn't win, there were certainties. At home, 25. So they're playing for pride. They're playing for next season. They won't win, but
There you
No,
go.
they
there is a price.
but
and a price.
that's why it's an interesting conversation as to what the price
At
is.
33 to 1, if someone wanted me to offer me 50 to 1 and 40 to 1, yeah, I would have a fiver.
Okay.
But if someone wanted to offer me 2 on Man City, I'd have $2,000. That's the difference.
Right. Okay, well, potentially a little bit more exciting than the title race is the top 4 race, which has been all over the shop and completely unpredictable, I think, compared to previous years. Let's take a look at the chances of finishing in the top 4. The thing I always like to bring up is that just a few weeks ago, Spurs were 10 to 1 on, about 6 weeks ago. Now 2 to 1 on. Arsenal heavy favourites, and then Pickham, if you fancy somebody else, Newcastle 7 to 2, which is a little bit unfair given their league position.
Yeah, but the running they've got, Nick's a disgrace. I mean, it's so tough. It's almost like they're in a little mini Champions League group.
Yeah.
It's not for me. Arsenal, Tottenham for me stayed all season. I'll stay the same.
I just worry about Tottenham. I really worry about Tottenham. They just seem to have fallen apart. And I just couldn't back them with confidence at odds on for this market and for the match at the weekend. They just seem in disarray at the moment. None of the prices really massively appeal, because Newcastle, like Flash says, really tough finishing fixtures. Chelsea as well, I've got a really tough lineup. I'd be inclined to back Chelsea just because the momentum seems to be with them at the moment, but they have got a tough fixture list. But I couldn't back Spurs if I wanted to.
But sorry, Nigel, I thought Spurs were better than Chelsea last week. I mean, Spurs, if they didn't have that ghost goal against them, I thought that Spurs were going to come on and win that game. I mean, it's only a bit of unbelievable brilliance from Drogba that Chelsea go in 1-0 up against Tottenham. Tottenham, they good work. They bullied them, as in passing, moving, and Tottenham for me were the better side, and they come on the wrong side of a 5-1 scoreline.
Okay.
So it was really false.
Well, there's a game, as you'll know, that directly affects this top 4, which is the Arsenal-Chelsea game. And Nigel, this is the kind of flagship game of the weekend. Potentially quite a tough one to call, just because of what teams will be put out and how they're played. Chelsea with the Champions League and Arsenal a lot of injuries.
No, well, that's exactly the point. I mean, Arsenal were 11-8 before the Chelsea game. So before the Chelsea-Barcelona game. So the public has now started saying.
Oh, that's fascinating.
They've started to put their money
Really?
on Arsenal. And Arsenal have been backed heavily in the last 48 hours since that game. The trouble is now they've got down to a price that it doesn't make any value. I mean, even money at home to Chelsea, you just can't physically back. They've got no midfield. They've got no Arteta. He's out for the season.
Yeah.
There's a doubt about Song. Benayoun doesn't play as part of the deal, which is a plus side, I suppose, for Arsenal. But the thing is here, I mean, the sentiment may have gone too far, and now the value is all about.
I think
Chelsea.
that's really interesting. I'd want to see the team sheets because I think Song. Not many people have talked about it. I think he's been one of the players of the
Right,
season
quality,
for
right.
Arsenal, and I think without him they're a different side, right?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with Nigel. 11-4. Chelsea for me. I think the overs as well. I think 7 of the last 9. I think over 2.5. And then these fixtures, we saw that
Good stat.
crazy game with Cheers. That crazy game back in October, which was 5-3. I'd be on the overs here.
The thing is, though, I mean, sorry, just about the injuries that Chelsea are going to have. They're going to arrest the likes of Drogba. They're going to arrest the midfield. The players are arrested. The players are coming in that are SEN. You know, they're going to be Torres. These aren't like fringe players, are they? I mean, these are quality players. And if you've got people like Essien coming into midfield and you've got no Song, that's where the game, I think, Chelsea have the advantage. And I think there's an overreaction here. And at even money and odds on, I'm happy to lay Arsenal home here. Bear in mind, the last home game they played, they got beat by Wigan.
Flash, this is kind of it for Chelsea, isn't it? If they can't get something out of this game, they're not going to finish top 4, are they?
No, yeah, I mean, I wrote this game up and I thought it would end up in a draw, and also I thought it'd be a really tight game under 2.5 because I couldn't trust Arsenal after the other night. They almost looked to me as if they're on holiday and they've already
the full
achieved.
team in the Premier League.
Yeah, but they are. But
defence.
what the normal thing that Arsenal do is shift the ball really quickly, and too many of the players were taking 3 and 4 and 5 touches. And the other night they basically played without Giroud, without Walcott, without Sagna, without the boy who came on for Arteta, Ramsey. So they played with like 6 or 7 men. You can't afford to do that. Now Drogba's already out injured with a knee. I see this as being a draw, and it could even be as dull as 0-0.
Okay. Interesting fixture, lots of different opinions. I definitely think you want to see the team sheets before you put your big money on. Let's move on. Spurs also in that top 4 shake-up go away to QPR, the emotional rollercoaster that is QPR. I think they were written off by a lot of shrewd punters for staying in the league. Kind of turned it round. How do you see this game? This is another interesting one, I think. You can get 3-1 at home back QPR.
It's an absolute massive game for both sides. Massive game for QPR as well. I mean, if you look at people who have got tough fixtures, QPR have got to go to Manchester City at home, Chelsea away, and they play Stoke. So they look at the Stoke game, I think they have all these. This here is arguably their best chance out of the 3. And the Stoke game, get a result. And so I agree with Chris. I mean, Tottenham are there for the take at the moment. You know, I think their season is falling apart. They're out of the cup. Their league form has dipped. I think if you QPR at home, the last 3 games, hammered Swansea, beaten Arsenal, beaten Liverpool, and at 3-1, I think it's a very, 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 very big price QPR. Instead of backing QPR, I'd be a massive layer and to get the draw for me of Tottenham at 5-6. But I think there'll be a move for QPR in the next 24 hours. I think Tottenham will go off odds against.
3-1 looks big.
Yeah,
Chris,
I
you're
almost
nodding along.
100% entirely agree. I'd be backing QPR here or the double chance or the lay, whatever you want to take. QPR, we saw in recent weeks, they've got heart, they've got fight, they've got the stomach for this. Spurs to seem to have any heart at the moment. They haven't won the last 7 away games. This is the worst run away from home for 4 years. It's for me, it's got to be QPR here.
Flash, make the opposite case. I know you like this Spurs team.
Yeah, I do, and I think the Spurs will beat Queen's Park Rangers. And the reason I say that is because the weakness of Queen's Park Rangers are a bit disjointed in midfield. I don't think that they've got a good blend with Diakite and Barton in there, and obviously Derry wants to sit. I think that they'll struggle to pick up Van der Vaart, and their defence is weak. And the one thing we know about Tottenham is going forward, they're very strong. I would say that Tottenham going odds against would be good value, because earlier on in the year they'll probably be 1-2.
All right, fantastic. Different opinions as ever on the punter. Hopefully we're giving you the advice you need. Now, after the break, we'll get into the other end of the table and some of the other sports, the big sporting weekend. Keep it right here. Welcome back to the punter, and my experts are just poring over some odds mathematically. They're not. They're backing a horse with the same name as their dog when they were a kid. Trust me. We're going to look at the other end of the Premier League table now, covering off the rest of the fixtures for you. The relegation contest is interesting, isn't it? It's changed a lot in the last few weeks. I can remember 2 weeks ago we had Neil Channing on here saying that one of his very heavy punter friends was massively on QPR to go down. It doesn't look as certain now.
Well, I think last week it changed a little bit because obviously they got hammered, didn't they? I think 2 teams have gone. 2 teams have gone, or I think Blackburn have gone and Wolves have gone, and then you've. It all depends. Bolton are the key to everything, aren't they? I mean, they're games in hand. That's the key. But QPR, I wouldn't put the guy off QPR because their fixture this is so tough. Everyone's saying Aston Villa are going to get clawed into it, 12-1, 20-1. They just need one more win.
Yeah,
and you know, taking 20-1, I can see this.
Is it coming though?
Well, I could see a good win in the weekend because if any team want to play at the moment, it's Sunderland. But you know, I think they just need one more win, and even if they don't win a game, I still think 36 points, you know, may even keep you up. So you back in people say back Aston Villa. Everyone's just putting them about, but I don't think
Just
they've actually looked at the maths and actually worked this out.
Yeah.
I think 36 points might keep you up. They could lose every game still.
Well, let's get into the games. We'll start with Blackburn's game, which you would think they'd have to win. At home against Norwich, probably one of their best chances to get 3 points. They're favourites, but they're not short price. They're even money. Flash, how do you see this?
I've gone for Blackburn. I've got to put Blackburn in Flash's 5 as well, only because Norwich are totally on holiday. I mean, they got sunburnt. They've been lying on them sunbeds for that long. Blackburn score goals. They need to sort out the back. I mean, they've been an absolute joke. And to be fair, the big thing that worries me is that there doesn't seem to be much fight in the ranks.
6-1 on to go down with Sporting Bet now.
Yeah, I mean, it'll all change after the weekend, I guess, because you have a look at them. I mean, QPR could get beat against Tottenham, Bolton could get beat, Wigan could get beat, and all of a sudden we're back in there. The one thing I would say is I've been at Blackburn all the way this year that they would stay up, and I went with Wolves, Bolton and Wigan. It's going to go down to the last 5 minutes of the last game.
It usually does, right?
It's great.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Not for the fans involved, of course. Horrible experience.
We don't care about them.
Oh, all right. Fair enough. Bolton-Swansea is the next game that affects this. Bolton with those 2 games in hand, Chris, and you know this is probably one of their. They'd have circled this in diary. Swansea have had a fantastic season, but potentially don't have a huge amount left to play for.
True. Bolton just hit the skids again, haven't they? After that great run back in March, where Coyle picked up manager of the month, and it looked like they were going to be safe, but they'd be dragged, sucked back in it, very much like Blackburn as well. And this is an obvious thing, but it's an absolutely huge game for them. I'm banking on them here. I think they will get the 3 points here, purely because Swansea, you're right. Their season's pretty much over. Bolton really must win this, and
they're 6-5 to go down, so slightly odds against them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Swansea, last week they won very well. Blackburn hammered them 3-0, but away from home, the week before they played QPR and got beat 3-0. Now, arguably, I think Bolton are probably on a par with QPR. Not much in it. QPR were 4-5 for that game, and Bolton here are 23-20. And that was a massive gamble on QPR. They started off about 11-10, 5-4 before the game. They got punted off the board before the match, and I could see a similar situation coming here because I just
you
don't
think that Bolton are a little bit big for.
I think. Well, yeah, I don't think there's much between Bolton and QPR at all. And I think if one of them are 4-5 and the other one you come back at 23-20, you've all got to be all over the home team. And I think the general public perception of Swansea is very good at home, not to be trusted away from home.
Fair enough. Fulham play Wigan. Wigan, the form team of the Premier League. Don't know what's happened there. I think, actually, they've probably been playing reasonably well all season. They just have been a little bit shaky at the back and that kind of thing. But they're now a little bit on fire. Fulham still odds on for this game. I'm slightly surprised Wigan are quite this big, because Fulham, I understand the home record and Craven Cottage and all that kind of thing, but they don't have too much to play for. Wigan have been on fire.
Yeah, the big thing with Wigan, though, when they go away from home is they like to play teams that actually defend high up the pitch. Fulham don't do that. Fulham actually defend on the edge of their own box. They don't let anyone get in behind them, and then they like to spring themselves. And obviously the likes of Ruiz, Dembele, the American boy Dempsey, Pogrebniak may well be back. So for me, I've gone with Fulham to burst Wigan's bubble and put it back into the mix again.
Okay, and one more match to cover off. Newcastle play Stoke in a game which obviously is huge for Newcastle. And I was saying that this was my bet of the weekend, and then I talked to Nigel and he told me no.
Well, it was my bet of the weekend.
Yeah,
I thought Newcastle were absolutely overpriced here, going for 5 on the trot, going for the Champions League against a team that really aren't off a yard at the moment. And if they had 2 less points, could be wrapped up in this relegation battle. But the team news coming out of Newcastle's not good. I've heard that the goalie's not going to play, Krul's not going to play, Tiote's not going to play. Demba Ba has a hamstring injury. He's a big doubt. and Ben Arthur is not going to play. So just be very, very careful. I mean, if that doesn't happen, which it could happen, but the word from Newcastle at the moment is that there is a lot of injuries and there's a lot of pressure up there at the moment, and it's not a foregone conclusion. The team news is vital for this game. You're going to back 8-13 for this match.
Yeah, Chris, if they did have all their first choice players, they'd be a great bet, surely.
Yeah,
You're
I
not
guess.
convinced?
I
Not
just,
a Newcastle lover.
I hate opposing Stoke. It's just such a.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm happy to oppose. So.
Yeah,
I mean, don't know, what have they got to play for? They don't have anything to play for. They're not in particularly good form, and I don't know.
I just think Pulis is the kind of manager who still demands 100% effort, and I just backing the team at 8-13, 4-7 against them, unless it was one of the big three, big two, wouldn't really get me excited.
Well, Newcastle are almost one of the
You can tell
big
that.
three.
You can tell that.
I was
Yeah,
cute.
he's not
I was cute.
Okay, let's move on. That's the Premier League covered for you. Lots of luck if you're backing that this weekend. Let's move on to some other sports. The Scottish National is happening this weekend. That's the biggest horse race on the calendar, and one that's worth a look if you fancy a bet. It's a very open handicap, as it is most years. Most of the Nationals tend to be good betting heats. Let's take a look at the odds. Harry the Viking is the favourite, and Flash, you like.
Well, he's got obvious chances. I think he's only been out the first two in the last 5 run-ins, and that was when he came second. He's won the other 4. I think Alex Ferguson is a part owner of the horse, but for me, I think Ikarudu Road at 12-1 has got a very, very good chance, and also Mostly Bob at 20-1. There'd be my 2 against the field. So Mostly Bob and Ikarudu Road.
Okay.
Ikarudu as well. Progressive horse has had a great season. Won the Grimthorpe. Looks like a good horse here.
So he's sporting better shorter on it at 10-1.
Yeah, I told the traders to keep it shorter. But Harry the Viking, so the whole story behind this was that Nichols would need to win this to win the Traders' Championship. Of course, after winning the Grand National last year, that's game
Take care
over.
of that, yeah. Nigel, how much volume would you see for a race like this?
It'd be pretty most bet game races of the day, and there'd be no doubt there'd be volume on it. But it'd be probably about the same sort of stake for me as a sort of average Premier League. I mean, football's where it's all about now. I mean, in the betting terms, and I've worked in betting for 20 years, but I've never ever really got into horse racing. I listen to people who know, but me personally, I couldn't pick one end of a horse or another. But one thing I would know about here is that the ground's going to be heavy. It's going to be a mud bath up there. So there are going to be a lot of non-runners and all that. And just from the names there, as I know nothing about betting, I'd probably go for Neptune's little brother, Quintin.
I knew you was going to say that. I knew you was going to say that.
I was predictable.
And he'll fall at the first and still win.
Yeah, because we
There
caught
you
it.
go. No problem. It's not even difficult. Okay, big sporting event starts this weekend. The World Snooker Championships will be all over your TV screens as ever. It's a great event to bet on, both before, during, in running. The whole works. It's got much better to bet on the last few years because it's become very open. I can remember back in the day, you'd have Davis or Hendry or whoever, or O'Sullivan for a while would be huge odds on. But now it's very open, the snooker, isn't it? Every time there's a major event.
Yeah, I mean it's class, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is class viewing because it's over 10 frames. You're not going to get someone get blown away 5-0. It's a lot cagey. We were talking earlier.
You get less upsets as well because of the longer frames.
Yeah, but also what it does is people can pace themselves. They're not going to just take on pots knowing if they come off. They don't gamble early. So I mean, it really is tight. I mean, we see Ronnie O'Sullivan. It's got a former winner, Peter Ebdon. Now they're chalk and cheese. One of them will take 10 hours to do one shot, and one will take like 2 minutes to finish 4 frames. So it's going to be a real interesting one. I mean, I like Ding Jean-Louis, and obviously I did like Mark Selby, but I've been told by a physio that he's got a bad neck, so I want to stay clear of him. Yeah.
Big difference in prices. Sporting bet 10-1,
We're
7-1 Blue Square.
we're after them, man. We're top price on them. The traders we've heard the rumours about the neck, and for me, he's a bit of a nearly man. I know he's won the Masters a couple of times, and he got to the final of this, but he's world #1 as well. But I just think that he's never really. There's no guy you'd put your last penny on, really, Mark Selby.
Yeah, I mean, it's harder this one to pick than the winner of the Grand National. I mean, it's 5-1 the field. I mean, look at it here. I mean, you've got some former world champions. I wouldn't rule anybody out. I mean, even just on this, I look at people at Peter Ebdon at 66-1. if he beats Ronnie O'Sullivan, which he's got a great chance of doing, he's got a great head-to-head record against him, he doesn't want to play him, he'll be a 16-1 shot, 20-1 shot straight after that game. So I would be concentrating more on the second list. But on that list there, Sean Murphy, just for me, 16-1, won the World Championship twice, knows how to win it, grinds out games, and has got a fantastic record at semi-finalists a few occasions. And also, you can't rule out John Higgins here, 9-1. He knows how to win it. So
you're always going to get.
I'm looking. I'm in a world of snooker and a world of darts and all this kind of stuff, where everything is about quickness, fast, speed. In a tournament like this, when you have to go back to the old style, playing that, 10 frames is only the first round, not the latter stage. 18 frames. You've got to look for experienced players. You've got to look for players. And the bookmakers here are pricing this up on current form. And just because some guy won a tournament last week where he was the first to 3 frames, coming here is a different kettle of fish.
Saying that, we're 100-1. Sorry, so it's for all 16 seeds to win their games.
Say that again. 100-1.
100-1 for all 16 seeds to win their games. That's good. If you like the idea of experience and a longer format,
that's brilliant. And the other one I would like to say is Liang Wenbo, 150-1, because I've gone with Ding. I think that it will be not too far off before one of the Middle East,
the Chinese tourist.
the Eastern countries. Yeah, he has got a tough one. But again, 150-1. If he gets through, he'll be down to 40s.
We also had on our board Luca Breckel, who
can't have him.
The gallery all over this. Absolutely no chance. I mean, if he wins,
you don't fancy a 17-year-old Italian to win the world snooker?
Well, I do fancy a 17-year-old Italian.
Belgium,
sorry. I do fancy a 17-year-old.
How could I not know that? What's wrong with that?
Not on the snooker.
It's the Luca that's thrown you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
No, not for me.
Great stuff. Enjoy the snooker. We'll come back to it, I'm sure, next week because it will still be in progress. First round probably still be in progress. We've got more sport to come, including Formula One after this break. Welcome back to The Punters. If we haven't already given you enough amazing advice, there's still more to come. It's a jam-packed weekend, and we get some specific naps for the weekend from our boys in studio. But first of all, let's talk Formula One. A fantastic start to the Formula One season. It's actually, I think, got some non-Formula One fans interested because it's been so controversy-laden, incident-laden, unpredictable results. It's been terrific, hasn't it? And has that increased the betting action?
Yeah, and a whole TV channel devoted to it has increased betting turnover. I mean, for a bookmaker's point of view, for Chris and the Sporting Bet boys, anyway, it's been fantastic because they haven't had a favourite win it, which is unbelievable in Grand Prix racing. They've had a 20-1 winner last week, which I must admit that I did tip.
You did.
Don't have more flesh, no problem. And then the week before,
I've been singing his praises all week.
And then the week before, on another show we did, we tipped the 80-1 winner, not myself, but Neil Coles on this. We had the two winners at big prices in the Grand Prix, and I know nothing about the sport, so it's incredible. So what it is
nicely done.
Yeah, exactly, it's fantastic. If only it was as easy as that. But 20-1, 80-1, and the week before. But the man who's been the most consistent driver is Hamilton. He's been on the pole every single race without winning one. He didn't win the first. Button won the first. Yeah, so he hasn't won a race. So you've got to think that maybe this is a time. And if any of the time the track was going to do it, this is a McLaren track. And I know what you were saying, Nick, before the Drivers' Championship. How can they not? They cannot win it.
Yeah, we'll get onto that. Let's check out the just the race odds for Bahrain this weekend. And Lewis Hamilton is the favourite. Jenson Button is second favourite. That's going to be a common thread, I think, going through this season. Rosberg and Vettel, second, third and fourth favourites. Chris, you're back on what I was saying. It's been great for bookies.
It's been really refreshing, really refreshing.
Is this the end of that this weekend? Are we going to see a return to status quo?
I like the defending champion.
You like Vettel in there?
Yeah, I think the Red Bull should be suited by the heat in Bahrain, and I think 8-1 to win the race, 5-1 for any of the Red Bulls to win the race generally. I think that interests me.
Okay, and Flash, you're on Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, I've been with Button for the first 3 races, but they tell me that Lewis is absolutely sizzling. He's my nap of the weekend over all sports at 2-1. But I have also been told, a little bit like what Chris just said, that the Red Bull reacts really well. But to go with Webber at 14s,
that's a big price,
and not Vettel at 8s. They think that Webber each way to get on the podium at 14s is massive. That's about 7-2 a place.
Must be some each way value in this race, given what's happened in the first 2 races. Let's check out the Drivers' Championship odds. It hasn't quite taken shape yet because of the surprises in the first couple of races, but the bookies haven't changed the market too much, really.
No, not really. I mean, Hamilton 7-4, 2-1. They're vying for favouritism. I can't really look past the McLaren, as you said. If you think they're a good case for the Drivers' Championship, you've got to look at one of their drivers, and the odds there shows you how much they have got the cigarette paper between the two of them. At 7-4 and 2-1, you have to be looking each way. And Alonso at each way for me at 12 perhaps makes a bit of appeal because he's won a Grand Prix race and they're saying the car isn't ready and the circuit's
Right.
the Ferrari car.
And somebody's got to finish third in this, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you can pick up points and win races when the car isn't ready for the circuits it likes, wait till it comes up. So each way for me, Alonso.
I'm sure that this isn't most people's idea of a good bet, but if you're looking for value, I think there's some in the Constructors' Championship market. Just because you guys can tell me I'm wrong, but at the moment you can back McLaren at 11-4 on. Should this not be 8-1 on? How do they not win the Constructors' Championship?
Well, it's just so early. I mean, that's the thing with like.
I know, but what I'm saying is 3 or 4 weeks down the road, they're probably going to be unbackable.
Well, yeah, you would hope so, being obviously Brits. But the big thing is, how are Ferrari 50-1 when Alonso's already won one of the races? But yeah, again, I went for McLaren right at the very beginning. I thought that Red Bull overachieved last year. Got very, very lucky. I think they had quite a few races where they started on pole and they went on and won them. The big thing with McLaren also is that in all 3 races, their pit boys have made mistakes and cost their drivers even more points.
Yeah.
I mean, last week I think it was Button and Hamilton. The week before it was Hamilton. First week it was Button. So for me, yeah, McLaren at 4-11, steaming.
Yeah. Chris, any view?
No, I like
You
your
like a
line of
3-1 on
thought.
shot?
No, 2-5 is probably my threshold.
That's as short as you'll go.
I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll get 2-5 somewhere. I'm sure we will. I'm sure we'll
Yeah,
get
I'm sure you
2-5.
will.
I'll find it somewhere.
If you bet enough, sure. Now, we like to bring you the markets on absolutely everything. So if you want to bet on the London Marathon this weekend, and I know you do, just get through that Sunday morning without a bet on is tough to do, I understand that. So let's check out the odds for the men's race. And I know that the experts in the studio are all over this one. You got several fancies here, Nigel, right?
Yeah, I have, and none of them on the page actually. I mean, believe it or not. I mean,
Well, this is the great thing about if you do want to bet on this kind of event, you can get some large price winners. Of
yeah,
course.
sure. I mean, the only thing I would say is that, I mean, just purely from history, that the London Marathon is obviously the pinnacle of everyone's running career and everything. But they're like racehorses. They're getting ready for the big event, which is the marathon of the Olympics.
Yeah.
So obviously, here, I'll be looking. They want to peak too soon. So my rule of thumb all the time is if you've got 45,000 runners around, I know that John Bishop can't win it or Gordon Ramsay can't win it, but there must be 150 people capable of winning it, or 100 people, 50 people. The weather's key again. I mean, it could be terrible rain or it could be quite decent.
No, it's due for rain.
Well, the
Rain,
weather's
13
supposed
degrees.
so in any sport, whenever it rains, my first is horse racing, Grand Prix racing, football, lay the jolly. That's all I ever do.
Right.
Lay the favourite. I was taught that from an early age. Lay the favourite. The only sports we can't do that is darts and snooker, unfortunately. But the top 4 there, 3-1, 7-2, 7-2, 7-2.
That's a generous book,
Lay
isn't
the
it?
4 of them. Lay the 4 of them, and have everybody else running for you in the marathon. You know, you've got lay the front 4. That as a bookmaker, that's what I would be
I
doing.
just
as a
looking at those
trader.
odds, you can see how bookies make a living. It's the London Marathon, 45,000
10 to
people,
1
and you've got
to
4 3.5 to 1
Yeah.
shots.
But lay the front 4. That's what my advice would be.
Yeah.
It's forecast rain.
I know,
Yeah,
Flash, Flash has actually got a view on the
Shocked at
women's
that.
race. I don't know if you've got the odds of that.
We don't have to mark it up. You've got something in the women's race?
Yeah, we're going to have a chat about that tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, you in depth.
Yeah, in depth, yeah.
No doubt. Talking about in-depth advice, this is the one that everyone's been waiting for. The Voice is sweeping the nation, so how could we not cover it? If you can't get through your Saturday night reality TV without a bet, this is the section of the show for you. And turn to our betting expert, Nigel Seeley, who's the reality TV king.
Yes.
You haven't seen the show.
I have. Well, no, I've been busy the last few Saturday nights, but I haven't seen
You are allowed to be
But
busy on
I
Saturday
have
night.
done a little bit of
Do
looking
you not
at it.
Sky Plus it?
No.
So here's my question on a serious note. It's a reality TV show. There's 40 contestants left. We
Yep.
go to 20 this Saturday, I'm told. How can there be a 5-1 favourite in a 40-runner field of a reality TV
Well, he's
show?
got all the headlines. I did actually see this guy, and he's a fantastic voice. But he's a music teacher. He's got a bit of a story to tell, and he has got a great voice. But in every single time I've ever seen a reality TV show, the guy who nails the first audition,
Right,
who
doesn't
comes in,
win.
never wins it.
No.
Never wins it. They can only go one way.
Correct.
They can go down.
Correct
So this
statement.
is just 5-1. Everyone going on about it. The other thing I would say about this as well, which I said to Flash earlier, these aren't young kids. These are guys at 35, 40. Now, there's a few of these in here who's going to have a bit of a checkered past, I think. And I think there's some tabloid newspapers will be delving around, trying to find out what they can find out of some of these people. And I think there'll be a few exclusives of some of these people that the public might not know
I
about.
checked out the 40 remaining acts. I've slept with 3 of them. So that tells you how much scandal there is.
And what about the female side of things?
No, not the females. No.
The big thing is, I don't think
Well,
we've got 6 names up there. I don't think that with 3 or 4, 5 weeks to go, we will be able to tell you who the winner is.
No.
And I don't think the winner's probably on there.
Okay.
I just think it's great because it's trashing Britain's Got
But it is a,
Talent.
but it is a great show though, because
Destroying
you've actually
it.
got talented people being rewarded for having talent.
Well, people like it. The
It's
ratings are
great.
phenomenal, and I think it will turn into an interesting betting market. Quick look at the winning coach, because you can bet on 3 pop stars, or you can bet on one of the world's most successful record producers. That's this market. Bet the one bloke who's nurtured talent in his career, or bet on 3 singers.
Who's got the biggest fan base for you?
Well, I think worldwide, in England, obviously Jessie J, but worldwide, I'd say Will.i.am.
Well, you think people are tuning
Well,
in worldwide?
No, but
Well, then that gives you your clue of who you should back.
Is Tom Jones
You
credible?
can have Jessie J. I'll have Will.i.am in a
There
side
you
bet.
go.
That sounds like
In a
fun.
cup of coffee bet.
That's it. Sounds good. We're going to quickly squeeze in a couple of minutes on the England manager, because there's been a couple of stories. I think one of the FA guys came out and said something nice about Harry Redknapp, but also there was a little move for Martin O'Neill. We haven't looked at this market for a while. Chris, what's been going on?
Yesterday we took bundles of Martin O'Neill.
Why?
40 to 1 and 60 to 1. I don't rumour.
He's taken Sunderland as far as he can.
Yeah. We've also took loads of money out on Kirbishley as well, which was absolutely fast. One particular man can't stop backing him. Is he
his name
certifiable?
Mr.
Sounds like
Kirbishley?
it's a really specific disorder. He's backing Kirbishley for
it's
manager
baffling.
since 1999 when he was actually up for it. Whatever year it was that he was doing well.
I think what it is,
Nigel, how
I think
do you
what it
see
is
this?
that basically there's an uneasy favourite,
Yeah.
isn't it? And that's why punters are looking for alternatives. I mean, 3 or 4 weeks ago, probably people were backing Hodgson and Pearce, and now they haven't been appointed, so they're looking at the next one. Redknapp has been uneasy all the way through. There's doubts whether he's going to get the job, and so people are looking for alternatives. But I still think that Redknapp will be the England manager. I think that at the end of the season, they'll make a decision for the Euros. But
Well, if that's true, 2 to 1 on is going to look like a great price, isn't it? Given how
I would never back anybody in a manager's market odds on, because anything can happen.
certainly not with the FA. The FA
No,
is
the
just
FA,
an
yeah.
odd organisation. Okay, we've got to round up. We're running out of show. We've got to get our tips from our experts, especially Flash.
Okay, here's my my 5.
your
Yeah,
5, yeah.
I went to Peterborough the other night. Obviously, they played Southampton.
They're
and
on the beach, right?
My word, I wouldn't let. They were disgraceful. They really were.
It's one of those clubs. Their objective of the season was survival. They've done it. and
Yeah,
they're,
again, and Watford are doing really well, and they've got momentum, and they're not allowed to take their foot off the gas. And at 2 to 1, the away for Watford to beat Peterborough, I think is great value. Huddersfield need to beat Scunthorpe to cement. And the big thing with this playoff picture in League One is no one's going to want to have Sheffield Wednesday, so no one is want to come 6th. Coventry to beat Doncaster. Coventry. They've been really unlucky. They've missed, I think, a penalty in each of the last 2 or 3 games. Rotherham under Crawley, old boss Steve Evans. It'll be his home debut. It'll be a bit of a crowd looking forward to him going on. And obviously, head of my Flashes 5 is Blackburn to beat Norwich, so they can hopefully stay up.
Fantastic. Flash is having a great season on the tips, so get involved with that. Chris, just to round off the show, give me your naps of the week or nap of the week. What's, across everything we've talked about, what would you have?
QPR to beat Spurs tomorrow. 11 to 4.
11 to 4.
Yeah. Sparky, show some heart.
Yeah, he'll show something. He's definitely a bit of that. And Nigel, pick something.
I'm going to go for a bit of a name drop. It was with Martin Yole, and Martin Yole said the only way to play Wigan is to do exactly what they do and defend and put men behind the ball and try to hit when they counter attack. The way they Flash said about the way they put up. I think under 2.5 goals in the Fulham Wigan game.
Oh yeah,
I can see that being an end of season 0-0, 1-1. Wigan being happy with a draw, and Fulham just moving on safely to the top of the table, top half of the table.
Fantastic stuff. As ever, I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. I love just sitting here listening to these guys. It's quality information. So massive thanks to Nigel, Chris and Flash. Have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the Classico and everything else that's going on this weekend. We'll see you next week for more Punter.